Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This is NTD Business, and I'm Paul Graney. Are central banks coming for your savings? The Bank of England tells people to get ready for negative rates. Are you driving for Amazon? Artificial intelligence cameras are watching. And Mckinsey and the opioid crisis. The consulting firm gets a massive fine. One of the world's largest consulting firms, Mckinsey, will pay over $500 million for its role in the opioid crisis. It's accused of turbocharging sales of the drug and fueling overdoses across the country. It's the first time ever a consulting firm has been caught up in the litigation. NTD's Patrick Hayden has the details.
Consulting firm Mckinsey has reached a settlement with 49 states. It'll pay nearly $600 million for its role in helping drug companies promote their opioids amid a nationwide overdose crisis. Multiple state attorneys general made the announcements.
Today we join with 53 attorneys general.
North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein says McKinsey designed marketing plans for drug maker Purdue Pharma to push their addictive drugs on patients across the country.
McKinsey developed a plan to turbocharge OxyContin sales. It engaged in market research, sales representative training, IT system development, and marketing, all to increase sales of addictive pills.
He gave an example of how McKinsey suggested that Purdue Pharma target high-volume prescribers so they would prescribe even more.
McKinsey's efforts worked. The number of pills prescribed, Purdue's profits, and McKinsey's fees skyrocketed. But so did the number of people addicted, the number of people overdosed, the number of lives lost.
Since 2000, the nationwide crisis has cost the lives of more than 470,000 Americans. New York Attorney General Letitia James said this is the first multi-state opioid agreement to result in substantial payment to states to address the crisis. The money will help fund programs to help battling addiction. Besides the payments to states, it also requires McKinsey to turn over internal documents about its work with Purdue Pharma and other drug makers. Purdue filed for bankruptcy in 2019 as part of a proposed settlement to resolve lawsuits. On Thursday, McKinsey said although its work was lawful, it fell short of the, quote, the high standards we set for ourselves, and it decided 2 years ago to end all opioid-related business. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
Incredible. And after 8 years leading CNN, Jeff Zucker will step down as president at the end of the year. When he was at NBC, he actually green-lighted The Apprentice, starring a guy called Donald Trump. But the pair weren't exactly best friends over the past 4 years. Here's the details.
CNN President Jeff Zucker is stepping down at the end of the year. He led the organization in its coverage of former President Trump's administration. Trump often took aim at the network for what he said was inaccurate and unfair coverage, sometimes referring to CNN as fake news. About 18 months ago, Project Veritas published insider tapes from CNN. In the leaked videos, staffers criticized how the company was being run. They complained the network had a left-wing bias and constantly cast Trump in a negative light. Zucker's announcement comes as networks grapple with how to cover the news in the wake of Trump. Over the past 5 years or so, Trump's gotten major media coverage, often being featured as the lead story on many news websites almost every day. And now networks are grappling with how to cover President Biden's new administration. During his first week in office, CNN suffered a major drop in TV ratings.
And talking of The Apprentice, Trump quit the Screen Actors Guild today. He blasted the union for trying to revoke his membership because of the January 6th Capitol riot. Trump said he's proud of his work in movies and TV shows and he doesn't care what the union decides to do. He also said he helped news outlets create thousands of jobs during his years in office because they covered him all the time. He says the union is just trying to get free media attention and distract from its dismal record as an actual union. And stocks closed higher Thursday. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq both posting record closing highs again. The Dow rose more than 332 points or 1.08%. S&P 500 gained nearly 42 points or 1.09%. The Nasdaq added over 167 points or 1.23%. Watch that Nasdaq fly. The market was helped by strong company earnings results. eBay, PayPal both topped estimates. PayPal shares rose 7%, eBay gave 5%. GameStop, on the other hand, kept falling, predictably. Both gold and silver dropped, though, more than 2%. Treasury yields rose. Oil also gained just a little. And Democrats are moving forward with a new virus spending bill without Republican support. The House passed a budget resolution late Wednesday. Here's the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
We hope that the Republicans will join us in support. We would prefer that, but we need to have the leverage to proceed whether they do or not.
The vote fell along party lines, bar two Democrats. But since Democrats hold the majorities in both the House and the Senate, they can push the relief package through themselves. The Senate is expected to vote on their budget resolution sometime later this week. And fewer Americans are applying for unemployment for the first time. It fell to 779,000 last week. Woohoo! It is the lowest level since late November and also a little better than economists had predicted. The drop could be because several states have loosened virus restrictions on restaurants and bars, so they could be rehiring workers. The total number of people receiving unemployment benefits also dropped. All in all, it's around 18 million people, still at a historically high level. A recent report says states are also seeing backlogs with applications. Although the recent aid package extended the federal unemployment benefits, some states haven't distributed the money yet. And the Bank of England says negative rates aren't imminent, but Brits should start preparing for them. That means instead of paying you interest on your deposits, banks will take money away from you. The idea is to encourage or force people to spend their money or invest in riskier assets to try and get the economy going. But maybe it's just me, but if a government is so worried about the health of its economy that it'll fine me for playing it safe, that's not sure that's where I want to gamble. Also, the central bank will penalize commercial banks for holding reserves, so the banks may be forced to loosen up and make riskier loans, and we all know where that ends up. And it's not just in the UK. The Federal Reserve is just one move off negative rates too. It's targeting 0 to 2.5% at the moment, so how do you protect your wealth? Ask Daniel Akaya, he's the chief economist at the Tressis hedge fund.
Holding on to cash or having your money in a basically savings account is not going to deliver any return whatsoever. And even if inflation is low, you're going to see that basically money is burning in your account. No? So what you basically need to do is to look for some type of inflation protection and to look for some type of risk-adjusted investments. Obviously, it depends on how each of us perceive our appetite for risk, but you certainly have to look for ways to protect your savings from inflation by having some of it in gold or silver or bonds or equities, depending, as I said, on your appetite for risk.
And you mentioned risk. Considering the negative rates from what I've seen, is it encourages banks to lend out money. Of course, if they have the reserves, it's going to get eaten away. And also, as you mentioned, it encourages households. They need to put their money in riskier assets. What kind of a society and economy are we looking at if this continues in the medium to long term?
This is a great question because we need to understand what interest rates are. Interest rates are the price of risk. And when you artificially bring down the price of risk, you are also encouraging excessive risk-taking from households, from governments, etc. So it's no wonder that when you introduce negative rates, governments spend more, they get more indebted because the yields at which their bonds are issued are low or negative in real or nominal levels. And as I said before, the typical household that would basically hold some cash or that would invest in very, very prudent assets cannot find any return in any of those ways of saving, and therefore has to take significantly more risk than what we probably perceive we are taking. So that is the big problem of negative rates, is that negative rates are the destruction of money. It's literally a way in which central banks are generating a massive transfer of wealth from savers and from salaries to the indebted and the risk takers. And it's no wonder that with negative rates, global debt has ballooned, and that at the same time we see that governments don't pay attention to fiscal prudence, that investors are buying stocks at multi-year high multiples. So we're seeing massive risk-taking all over the place. And we're building a society that instead of being based on prudent investment and savings, as a strong society is, it is based on massive debt and reckless spending.
It's incredible. Daniel, appreciate your analysis as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
And profits at Royal Dutch Shell are the lowest in at least 2 decades, absolutely battered by tumbling energy demand. Julian Satterwith reports.
Profits at Shell have dropped to their lowest in at least 2 decades. The oil giant has been battered by tumbling demand for energy amid the global health crisis. That saw adjusted earnings for 2020 slump 71% to $4.8 billion. Even so, that is better than the huge losses posted by some rivals. Shell was helped by resilient trading at its network of more than 45,000 filling stations, where it also operates convenience stores. Like other oil majors, Shell is responding to the tough environment with big spending cuts. It's also planning a restructuring as part of a plan to cut its greenhouse gas emissions to net zero over the next 30 years. The firm plans to cut 9,000 jobs as it makes the shift to low-carbon energy. Shell shares collapsed in 2020, hitting their lowest in more than a quarter of a century. They have recovered slightly since, but are still down 40% since the end of 2019.
Amazon has plans to install AI-powered video cameras in its delivery vans. It says they will improve drivers' safety, but some say this raises more privacy concerns. I wonder why. NTD's Patrick Hayden has the details.
Amazon wants to keep a closer eye on its delivery drivers. It plans to put AI-powered cameras in delivery vans to monitor driver behavior. The technology will give drivers real-time audio notifications if they fail to stop at lights, follow too closely, speed, brake too hard, and other things. Amazon says the cameras are meant to improve driver behavior and reduce collisions. The company has come under scrutiny in the past for accidents involving delivery drivers. They've been linked to at least a dozen deaths, but since the drivers aren't considered employees, the company has avoided liability. The initiative is similar to Amazon's long-haul truck fleet, where smart drive cameras monitor freight drivers. Amazon says while the cameras will constantly record video, they only upload footage if triggered by unsafe actions. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
And Google has a new tool to measure your heart rate and breathing rate. All you need is a smartphone. To measure your pulse, you just put your finger over the camera lens. It catches subtle color changes that correspond to blood flow. And to measure respiration, you'll have to record yourself breathing for half a minute. It uses chest movements to calculate the rate. The new feature will be available as an update to the Google Fit app starting next month. And still to come, We look at the impact of Joe Biden's decision to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. It affects more than just 10,000 jobs that have been lost. And a Super Bowl bummer for Los Angeles County restaurants. They aren't allowed to put up the TVs for the game. That and more when we return.
When you look at TV networks in America, a soundbite and fight-it-out culture prevails on news and commentary programs. As a Canadian, I'm fascinated with America, and I wanted to offer American thought leaders an opportunity to share their thoughts in a deep dive format, where we can explore their ideas together. And so American Thought Leaders was born. The world's most brilliant thinkers believed that open discourse was the key to greatness. However, all around the world, we see that discourse is being stifled, and political agendas have subverted media. The Epoch Times launched its Global Thought Leaders program to bring back this great tradition of free thought. As the host of American Thought Leaders, every week I interview some of the most intriguing minds on the most pressing issues of our time. Be sure to check out our new episodes every week.
President Biden's decision to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline affects more than just the roughly 10,000 jobs that were lost immediately. It also impacts many families that passed down the pipeline trade over generations and local communities built up by the workers passing through.
For some, working on the pipeline is more than just a job. It's a family trade that runs through the blood of many a pipeliner. The founders of AmericanPipeliner.com say the jobs lost from canceling the pipeline are seasonal, but not temporary. They say pipeliners are gypsies, traveling to job sites in the spring and back home in the winter. Tim Latter says among pipeliners, there's a feeling that they aren't being represented in government.
People are pissed, for lack of better term. We have a Facebook group that has over 100,000 pipeliners on it, and they are all voicing their frustration, and they feel absolutely betrayed. You know, their livelihoods are being pulled right out from under them, and it's they have nowhere else to turn to.
Latter says the pipeline workers have to find local jobs that pay less than half of what they would make on the pipeline. But the fallout doesn't stop there. Founder Ashley Latter says the communities are taking a hit at a time when they really need the growth during the pandemic.
It's going to impact the livelihoods of all the people where the project goes through. The hotels, the restaurants, the car washes, just everything local through all of those communities. All of those people could have, with COVID over the last year, obviously they've been greatly impacted, and this would have been a huge boost to their economy and their livelihood.
Carter Knox is a 22-year-old fourth-generation pipeliner. When the pandemic hit, he had to tap into his retirement fund to feed his family. He has a 3-year-old son. He was looking forward to working on the Keystone project before President Biden yanked the permit. Knox says canceling the main job has collateral damage.
Whenever you kill big projects, you kill all the little projects that support them. That main line, when its permit got pulled, yeah, that hurts for the 13,000 people that were specifically working on that line. But what about the 50,000 that are building the lines coming off that line, that are heading towards houses and cities and towns?
Republicans have proposed a bill to continue the Keystone XL pipeline project by bypassing the president's executive order. Kevin Hogan, NTD News.
Despite lockdowns, one Washington state barber refuses to close his shop. Even as fines pile up, he told a reporter that he won't go down without a fight. NTD's Echo Leo has more.
Some shops have closed for fear of the CCP virus, some for fear of fines. but some won't close no matter what.
The mandate is, and the edicts that the governor had, is not law. It was not voted on. It wasn't passed into law. And it's against the law, against the Constitution for them to try to enforce something like that.
Retired Marine Bob Martin, now 80 years old, refuses to close his shop, the Stag Barber and Styling in Snohomish.
They tried to put me out of business here and fine me. And my question is, who's the injured party? I didn't hurt anybody. And I'm not going to put up with anybody who's trying to put me out of work.
Fines at his shop are approaching $100,000, but that is not stopping him.
I've been in business here for 51 years, and this was a cow pasture when I started. I grew up in Snohomish, so I knew I would have an easy time. People know who I was anyway.
For one, Martin keeps his shop open to preserve American society.
The Constitution gives me the right for liberty, and I took an oath of office when I went in the Marine Corps for foreign enemies, foreign and domestic, and these are domestic problems right now. We don't want to have a country like China's enduring now with the communists.
He also keeps it open for his family.
I just want to take care of my daughter and my grandson. My daughter has a brain tumor, and she needs my help, and I need to help her. And so she's not employed. Nor is my grandson yet. He was, but he lost his job because of the COVID thing. So I'm the only one with a sole income, and I have to help him.
And Martin gets continued support from the community.
And it's like one big family. I feel like all the kids' grandpa in town. The little kids that sat on the board down here are now bringing in their grandchildren, so that's how long I've been here. And we're the sons and daughters of the people that founded this country. And we're not going to sit back and let them walk all over us. So if they want to fight, we're going to give it to them.
He hopes more people will speak up.
I'm just this red-blooded American, and I'm not any different than any other person. I'm the only one that's just vocal. I end up being a mouthpiece for people that don't want to stand up.
Martin said he'd keep his shop open and protect it for the rest of his life. Reporting by Echo Liu, Washington.
And Super Bowl Sunday is known for chili, nachos, beer, widescreen TVs. But this year, restaurants in LA County, California are told to keep a lid on it.
At the outdoor dining patio at La Sexy Michelada in Los Angeles County, something seems to be missing for Super Bowl Sunday. There aren't any TVs for the game. New pandemic rules mean TV monitors aren't allowed in restaurants. Health officials are concerned the Super Bowl could turn into a super spreading event. It's a huge setback for restaurateurs hoping to see a boost in sales.
I think it'll be a disappointment to people who want to enjoy an outdoor viewing, say, of the sporting event, because it is a big event and people do like to see it. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons we have the TVs set up was because it was requested from our customers.
For football fans like John Arellano, nothing compares to the experience of enjoying the Super Bowl at a restaurant.
I'm very disappointed that I can't do that, because I like a setting like this where you can just go and enjoy it and someone serves you food and drinks and you're just having fun and you're concentrating on the game, laughing and enjoying things with your friends.
Ricardo Diaz owns 3 restaurants in LA County. He says keeping his businesses afloat has been challenging. His staff has dwindled from 50 to 35 since the pandemic started.
Well, the main effect has been just the insecurity, going back and forth from capacity to not dining to dining. So my most important job as an employer, and trying to schedule and keep people working has been the most difficult part.
For Super Bowl Sunday, Diaz says he did the math and decided it will be easier to shut his 3 businesses for the day.
And still to come this evening, record gun sales in January. Gun sellers saw a huge increase from a year before, so what's behind it? And a German startup has a new way to deliver vaccines. It can reach places that regular transportation can't. Find out more after the break.
It's just clear as day. The media, whether it's broadcast, cable, or print media, has become extremely biased. And I started looking online for alternative ways to get information. And I saw an ad for a free trial. And I looked at it and I said, Epoch Times. I mean, come on, this is end of days type of stuff. I mean, what are they going to be talking about here? And I said, well, it's a free trial. Let me dig in. Is it giving me both sides? Is it giving me an objective point of view here? I have looked for opportunities to see where they might be biased, and I don't find it. It has given me a level of trust in media that I didn't think I'd ever get back. I love the Epoch Times because it has renewed my faith in the idea that a reliable, responsible, non-biased source of information is available. And I can say that I love it because of that.
Gun sales hit a new record in January. Gun merchants sold more than 2 million firearms last month. The National Shooting Sports Federation says that's a 75% increase compared to January 2020. The trade group said it's not unusual to see a surge in gun sales when a Democrat president gets elected. Happened in 2008 and 2012 with Barack Obama. But the trade group says the fear of social unrest also played a role this year. And a startup from Germany is joining the race to distribute CCP virus vaccines, and it wants to use its record-setting drones to do it. NTD's Evelyn Lee reports.
A German startup has joined the race to offer CCP virus vaccine distribution by air. Wingcopter has secured fresh funding to strengthen its position, and now it's trying to get shots to people in hard-to-reach places.
We want to use the drone during the coronavirus crisis to deliver vaccines more quickly and safely to their destination while maintaining the cold chain.
His drone set the world record for speed, and they can go over 62 miles on only one battery charge while carrying up to 13 pounds. That's handy for vaccine distribution.
This is an aerodynamic delivery box attached below the drone, which fits a special cooling box to hold the vaccines, which require special handling.
Plimmer says the box contains cooling pads so the vials will reach the client intact and at the right temperature. The company is working on a number of trial projects for countries in Africa and Southeast Asia. It aims to scale up operations to deliver vaccines to millions of people.
Together with UNICEF, we already delivered vaccines to various remote villages and shortened the waiting period from hours to minutes.
He says they delivered vaccines for children in the past, and now they can apply their knowledge to deliver CCP virus vaccines. According to him, they know exactly what to do to deliver the vaccines more efficiently. Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
That's the latest business updates for today. You can still catch NTD Evening News. They start at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi, we're happy to announce that you can also catch us on cable TV now. Millions of households already choose us as one of their trusted news sources, and you can too. You can watch us in Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York, and many other cities as well. And if your system doesn't carry NTD yet, you can just give them a quick call and request NTD on your cable provider. Thank you for watching. See you next time.